Yes, hi. Hi to everybody. Today we can learn. Yesterday, basically, we learned about the yesterday. It is the Java related thing, right? End-to-end related. We learned what is the Java and what type of they have need and what is the Java 8 feature, Java 17 feature, Java 11 feature. These things we have basically we learn. Whoever that don't know about Java related thing, you guys please visit my channel and you can open playlist, Java playlist. Inside the Java playlist, we have a lot of video on that for Java related thing, isn't it? Today onwards, we can discuss Spring basics. Okay. After that, we can discuss Spring Boot and microservices related thing we can discuss. First of all, today we start Spring basics. For that, we need to prerequisite there. Prerequisite, what that prerequisite is the core Java and advanced Java, JDBC plus servlet as well. Okay, it is a database connection purpose and Oracle SQL. And fourth one is the Hibernate, the ORM basic things. And these things we will learn. And the course content, what is that? In the course content, we are going to discussing Spring Core, Spring JDBC, DAO, and Spring Boot, Spring Data JPA, Spring Web MVC, Spring Restful Services, okay, Spring Service, that is the Spring REST and Web Services, and Spring Cloud for the database connection purpose, that is the Spring Cloud microservices purpose, and microservices, that is REST APIs, and Spring Security, and Spring Boot integration with Apache Kafka, and Redis, Cache, and Docker images to create the Dockerization, and unit testing, JUnit testing, and logging tool, these things. We are going to, this is the requested, this is the programming language, that is Java. You should, strictly you should know. Otherwise, please don't, please you can learn the Java basics. Then you can see this video, okay? And then after that is the language fundamental, the Java fundamentals and what is the indexes of the Java and how we can create that Java standalone applications, isn't it? And technologies, we are using JDBC and Servlets and JSP as well. It is the old technology, still we are using, okay? And then after that, we can move to the front end as well, like HTML, CSS3, Ajax, and Angular. Even React also we can learn basics here, okay? Here that this the JDBC servlet is for the database communication by using the JDBC, okay? It is a traditional way we can use. And servlet, it is a servlet for the web application development purpose we can use, okay? This is the database communication and web application purpose you can use. The JSP is the presentation logic. Instead of JSP, you can use Timeleaf as well. And web application we need to implement. By using these many features, we can implement one mini project as well. By using the Spring, okay, by using the Spring, we can implement one mini project as well. Okay, and here Java frameworks you should know Hibernate and Spring Boot as well. We need to discuss first Spring and then after that Hibernate and then after that Spring Boot. What is the advantage of what is the difference between Spring Boot? These things we can learn. And then core Java. Core Java means to develop the standalone application by using the core Java. What will develop? Standalone application we can implement by using the JDBC. What you need to implement? Persistence logic. By using the persistence logic, by using the JDBC, we can implement persistence logic. Means how we can connect the DB by using the Java code. Okay, and servlet. You need to know that servlet framework as well. Okay, I will discuss servlet framework as well. And here to develop the web applications, servlet what purpose we can use? Servlet we can use to develop the web application purpose, and JSP is the presentation logic purpose we can use. JSP. Okay, here I explain you what is that. What is that framework? What is that framework? Here, this the framework is the semi-developed or ready-made software. Okay, what is framework? Framework is nothing but it is a semi-developed or ready-made software, and framework will be provide some common logic to require the several project development. Simple way we can implement without without implementation of lot of repeated codes. Instead of repeated codes, you should use framework. What is framework? Framework is nothing but semi-developed or ready-made methods, ready-made software. The framework will provide common logic for the required for several project development they will use by using the framework. The framework provides the reusable component. What is that? A reusable component. Again and again they will use that component, may be classes or interfaces. Maybe classes or interfaces. Okay, and here framework will reduce the burden of the developer as well. What will do? By using the framework, reduce the burden of the developers. It is the, how I can say, it is the production ready features might be it is the simple way we can implement. Okay, the simple way you can implement. In the Java community, we have the two types of framework, right? Two types of framework. One is the ORM framework. Example, Hibernate. That is the what does mean? It is the ORM means the object relational mapping. How we can relation being establish that connection between object and mapping, relation between object and object or object to database. That will happen by using the ORM. That is Hibernate framework. Okay, and here the web framework also is there. Right? Web framework is the traditional framework. It is the deprecated now. It is the struct. It is deprecated. Okay, it is a 2001 that has to be developed. It comes in the market. And here Spring is called a application development framework. Spring is called a application development framework. End-to-end application they will implement. Is the interface 21. Firstly, they has implemented in the interface 21. Okay, interface 21 company that has to be introduced to the market for the first Spring version comes into market when probably 2004, 2003 or 2004, 2003 end or 2004 starting. They have to be introduced. They have to be introduced. The current version is 6.x, 6.4 I think, 4 or 3, I don't know, 4 or 3, it is the current version. Okay, and here Spring is not a single framework. Okay, Spring is not a single framework. Spring is framework or collection of framework. Okay, not it is a single framework, it is a collection of framework or modules. They call modules or framework. In the first version, they have to be provided 7 modules. They have to be introduced 7 modules, and then after in the second version, they have to be provided 6 modules. The reduced by 1 module, and third version they has to be provided the 20 plus module, 20 plus module, and Spring framework is Versalite framework. Okay, Versalite framework. And Spring is loosely coupled with framework. Spring is a loosely coupled with framework. Any framework, it will loosely coupled. Means any framework can communicate with any framework. I can say here collection of framework. Okay, Spring is not a single framework, it is a collection framework. That is the reason. Spring is a loosely coupled framework. Okay, and here what is Spring? What is Spring? Spring is a Java-based application development framework. It is a Java-based application development. framework, isn't it? By using the Spring, we can develop end-to-end application. End-to-end application within minutes of time, you can implement that Spring-based application. And Spring is developed by Java Standard Edition and Java Enterprise Edition. Both they has to be introduced. That is the two language. I can say the standard versions and enterprise version. They has to be provided. And Spring framework developed by whose, that is a Rod Johnson. They has to be developed in the 2003. They have to be developed in the 2003, and then it is introduced in the 2004. I think it is the 2003 November or December, like that. They have to be provided in the market, introduced in the market. And first version of the Spring come into 2004. Okay, I can say 2003 end or 2004 start. What version has to be introduced? 1.x version has to be introduced in 2004. The current version I explained that 6.4 is a 2024 might be to 6.4. I think 6.4 current version. Spring is developed by modular fashion, means frameworks of the framework, okay, multi-mode framework or multiple collection of framework, they has to be developed by using the Spring. Spring modules are loosely coupled with any module. Spring is versatile framework and it can be integrated with any other framework by using the Spring. Spring can integrate with any other framework. Spring framework modules, these are the modules they have to be provided: Spring Core and Spring Context and Spring DAO and Spring ORM, Spring AOP, Spring Web MVC, Spring REST, Spring Data JPA, Spring Cloud, Spring Security, Spring Social, Spring Batch. These are the 12 modules that have to be introduced. Okay, one by one I will explain for what is the Spring Core and what is the Spring Context and what is the Spring DAO. These things I will explain one by one, isn't it? Here, what is Spring Core? Spring Core, it is the base model of the Spring framework. It is the base model of the Spring framework. What does mean Spring Core? Spring Core is the base model of the Spring framework. It is the core model of providing the fundamental concept of the Spring. Okay, what is that core model? IOC is the DI. IOC and DI. IOC and DI is the core model. It is by using the IOC and DI. It is by using the IOC and DI, you can implement that loosely coupled classes. What does mean IOC? IOC is the inversion of control and DI is the dependency injection. By using the IOC and DI are used to develop classes with loosely coupled. And IOC will take care of Java object lifecycle. That is Spring Beans. What does IOC what will do? IOC will take care of Java object lifecycle. Java object lifecycle, that is Spring Beans. Okay, that's all about the Spring Core, isn't it? It is the base model of the Spring framework. By using the Spring, you can provide fundamental concept of the Spring. Those are the IOC and DI. IOC is nothing but inversion of control and DI is nothing but dependency injection. By using the IOC and DI, you can develop with loosely coupled classes. By using IOC will take care of the Java object lifecycle. That is Spring Beans. Okay, that's all about the Spring Core. That's all about the Spring Core. What does the Spring Context? Second one, what is Spring Context? Spring Context is nothing but it is a by using the Spring Context, you can manage configuration in application. Spring application, you can manage Spring application configuration in your application. We will use to context model. Okay, we need to use the context model. By using the context model, you can use the manage a configuration in your Spring application. It provides the configuration support required the managing classes and these things. Okay. What will do? Spring context. Spring context will do to manage a configuration in Spring application. Okay. We will use the Spring context module. What is the AOP? AOP is nothing but is AOP transfer the aspect oriented programming. Okay. AOP transfer what? Aspect oriented programming. That aspect or oriented programming is used to separate a cross-cutting logic in our application. Cross-cutting logic means it is a secondary logic or helper logic. You can implement by using the AOP. Also, the AOP example is Spring security, data transformation, transactions, sorry, Spring security, transactions and logging, auditing, exception handling. These things we can implement by using the Spring AOP. Spring AOP or Spring JDBC. Okay, it is what it does mean that Spring JDBC. Spring JDBC is extend of the Java JDBC. That's it. It is the what is the Spring JDBC? It is the extent of the Java JDBC to simplify the persistence logic development in our Spring JDBC. Okay, how we can implement Java JDBC? These many steps they has to be provided. These many steps they has to be provided. First of all, you can load the driver and get connection and create a statement, execute query. Okay, and yeah, and create a statement, execute query, process the result and close the connection. These many steps you need to implement in your application if you use it a JDBC. If you using your JDBC in your application, these many steps you need to implement to communicate the database. Instead of using JDBC, you can use the Spring JDBC. Spring JDBC just two steps you need to implement. That is execute query and process results. That's it. Execute query and process results. That's it. Okay. And Spring JDBC provides the predefined classes to perform DB operations. To perform DB operations. Spring JDBC. That is what is example. It is JDBC template. Example JDBC template. Named JDBC templates. These things you can use by using the. There has to be predefined classes. Java JDBC template or named JDBC template. There is the predefined classes in Spring JDBC. Okay. These two steps you need to implement in your application if you need to communicate the JDBC. If you need to communicate the MySQL. Okay. And also Spring ORM is there. Spring ORM is there. Give minutes. Sorry to interrupt you. Yes, where I forget. Uh, yeah, if you need to communicate by using the Spring JDBC, you can use two steps. That is the execute query and process result. That's it. They has to be inside the predefined classes by using the Spring JDBC. That is uh, JDBC template or named JDBC templates. These things you can use internally, isn't it? And Spring ORM. What is Spring ORM? Spring ORM model is a extension of existing ORM framework. That's it. Existing ORM framework. It is a implementation or re-implementation by using the ORM. That's it. By using the ORM, they have to be implemented by using Spring ORM. But ORM is nothing but what is that? Is the object relation mapping. Object relation mapping to support the ORM integration. We have Spring ORM module. Okay, that is Spring ORM is nothing but Spring plus ORM framework. That is called Spring ORM. Internally, they will work as a Hibernate only. They will work with Hibernate only. And here, Hibernate, by using the Hibernate, these many steps you need to implement. If you want to do communicate with CRUD operations, whatever it is with DB, MySQL or Oracle, whatever it is, you can implement these many steps. First, you can create that config class, config object, not class, config object. You can create config object, that is, and after that, create session factory and create session and begin transaction and execute method and commit transaction and close connection and close session factory. Close session and close session factory. These 8 steps you need to implement in your application. If you internally you use the Hibernate work, you need to communicate with DB. You can use these many steps to communicate with your DB. Okay. First of all, what we'll do, create the config object, and then after that is to create the session factory and create session, begin transaction, execute methods, and commit transaction, close session factory. These many steps to implement. Instead of you can using Spring is the ORM Hibernate, you can use Data JPA as well. In the coming class, I will explain Data JPA, and Spring ORM is nothing but it is what will take Hibernate template dot save method. If you want to save DB by using Hibernate template, just Spring ORM. If you are using that Spring ORM contain that Hibernate. That Hibernate has to be predefined classes. That is the Hibernate template dot save method. You can save the object entity class or entity manager. You can store by using the Hibernate template. That's it. That's it. Today, what we have discussed, these many steps we have to discuss. Spring basics. Instead, if you want to you need to learn about the Spring basics. Pre-requisite is there. That is the core Java, advanced Java. You should learn, and Oracle. Also, I will already reveal this one. This subject I teach explain in our application. In how can say explained core Java in our channel. Okay, you can visit my channel. That channel has to be is inside that it is a Java playlist is there. Open playlist and you can learn Java related thing. Okay, I will explain advanced JDBC related thing and SQL Oracle also I will explain, and Hibernate basics also I need to explain. But before that, I am explaining it is the Spring basics. Okay, by using the Spring basics, you can implement that faster way. You can implement application, isn't it? Spring basics. Spring has so many modules. Okay, these are the models. These are the models. We need to we going to discuss here. Okay, Spring Core, Spring Data JPA, and Spring Boot as well. Okay, and Spring Data JPA, Spring Web MVC, Restful services, Spring Cloud, Microservices. Spring security, Spring Boot integration, these things, and how we can integrate with Apache Kafka and Redis cache and Docker unit testing, how we can write the unit testing in our application, and logging, how we can check that logs by using the logging framework. Also, I will integrate with them. I will show step by step. Okay, please subscribe my channel. I will explain all those things here. Okay, and then the Java programming is the prerequisite here. Okay, if you don't know Java, you can learn Java here also. I explained step by step Java in our channel. Okay, and then these are the presentation logic purpose with communicate with the database by using the JDBC and Servlet thing, isn't it? And after that, what is the framework? All those things I explained here, isn't it? You can simply learn in my channel. Okay, how many models is there? These things, isn't it? Okay, yeah. Uh, mm, just a minute. Yes. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and share, subscribe to my channel. It really helps me grow and bring more awesome content for you. Uh, for that purpose, you can hit the bell icon. You will get never miss that update when I updated, and let me know if you have any thoughts in your comments below. Okay, I hearing from you. Thank you for your support. Thank you. Bye bye.